When was the last time you broke the rules? When was the last time you fought for what you wanted? As girls, we've always been told what to do, how to behave, how to live. We've internalized that our lives are not our own. We've accepted a fate that was given to us by birth, ignoring our own feelings and beliefs. History has repeatedly blurred women's achievements. When did we forget that it was one of us who took humanity to the moon? This lack of feminine role models filters down into every little girl's mind. You are not worth it. You are not enough. But what if we are? What if we always have been? What if we no longer want to fit in? Now is the time to swim upstream. It is time to step up as women and to set up our future to gain power over our lives. Power will not be given to you. You must take it. Break the algorithm and join the International FemHack.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the International FemHack on this second day. As you know, we have many speakers today, and the first of today is Una Shortt, who is the Group Chief Data Officer of Schneider Electric, which are the game changer sponsors of this FemHack event. So hello, Una, how are you?
Good morning, Noelia, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm really happy to have you here today. So it's all yours. Whenever you want, you can start speaking. The public and myself, we are more than glad to listen to you.
Okay, wonderful. It's really, really great to join you all today for the International FemHack Vol.II, and my pleasure to speak to you about all things data in this first session of the day. Today we're going to chat about the journey to a data-backed execution of strategy, and there are a number of critical enablers to that journey, and we'll talk about those in this session. And of course, we're here as an international female community, specifically in the STEM industry. So I'd like to share a little bit about my journey as well to STEM. So let me introduce myself and my own journey to STEM to you. As Noelia mentioned, my name is Una Shortt, and as you can probably hear by my accent, I'm originally from Ireland, but I'm based in the Barcelona office with Schneider Electric, a company that I have been with, in fact, for the last 18 years. It's really an extension of my own family. And incidentally, from today, I am the newly appointed Group Chief Data Officer at Schneider Electric. So it's my first day on the job, but 18 years with the company, and I'm really looking forward to sharing with you some of my journey to reaching that position today. My entire career, in fact, has really been focused on my passion for people and really making a positive impact to the people I work with, the people around me every day, and the company itself. And I had an interesting start to my career in technology after graduating in the millennium in software engineering. And really, I discovered software engineering by choice. I needed to go to my local university for economic reasons. I needed to be able to commute every day, so we couldn't afford for me to stay in on-site accommodation. So I was limited with the amount of universities I could choose from, and I really wanted to study journalism. In my heart, I wanted to be a journalist. However, at that time, in the mid-90s, that course wasn't available in my local university. So at a crossroads in my decision and really not knowing what I wanted, my brother, who was a few years older than me, said, Una, why don't you computer systems? This was the mid-90s. We didn't even have a computer at home, right? Most people didn't have a computer. People were just learning about the internet at the time. And I knew nothing about computers. And he said, look, come do the course I'm doing. If you really focus on coding in the first year, you'll really get to do well in the course. And that's what I did. I followed in his footsteps, and I went to our local university, University of Limerick in Ireland, and I studied computer science. And what I quickly realized was I absolutely loved to low-level code. And why I loved it was really the structure, the logic, and the creativity to be able to create something on the computer. And I spent hours and hours in the labs in university. And we purchased our first computer together from our work money in 1998. And then once I had the computer at home, I was just coding day and night, basically. I loved it so much. And that led me to joining the capital markets industry in my first position when I left university in 2000. And there I was a low-level coding software engineer, really loving my job and loving what I did. In 2004, simply because I was moving city, in fact, I decided to leave that company to apply to other positions. And I saw a super interesting data role advertised in a very vibrant company. And I thought, my goodness, I don't really fit the requirements of this role. What do I know about data? What I didn't really realize was, okay, the terminology data wasn't really actively used in the early 2000s for positions. But in fact, in my software engineering job in the capital markets company, it was all about data. We were creating analytics reports. We were passing data between systems every night with our low-level code. So even though I felt I was being courageous applying for something I knew nothing about, in fact, data was everywhere. So I already had some good baseline. This particular company had quite excited me because they were at the cutting edge of implementing data and analytics in the early 2000s. And that, as we know, that was quite a challenge back then. It wasn't something that was very popular. I was interviewed by someone who saw my potential. In fact, he'd gone to the same university as me. So when he saw the degree I had, he went, okay, this lady will be able to learn everything that I need to teach her. And in fact, he taught me. He was one of the greatest mentors of my career. I learned the foundations of data and BI from him in a few short years on the job. And that company was APC, which was American Power Conversion. And incidentally, we were purchased by Schneider Electric in 2007, the company that I'm still in today, enjoying my adventures in data. And I've held many roles in the company. So as you've just heard, I joined as a BI and analytics developer at the time, engineering. We were doing everything, in fact, because we were in a small business unit. You weren't just the data engineer. You were doing the business analysis, the testing. You were also doing the releasing, the production, the operations. We were, coming in early in the morning to fix all the problems that happened with the data during the night. We were also the project managers, the project leaders. And something I really realized at that point in my career, even though I'd qualified as a software engineer, in fact, when you go into data and BI, you need to know a lot more and apply a lot more skills than just engineering. You need to be empathetic towards your end users. They want to use Excel. Okay, back then everyone just wanted to use Excel. They didn't really understand the value we were bringing, so you needed to be good at marketing, promoting, selling. And in fact, while I had been in university, I had a very interesting role in a call center, okay, literally a debt collection call center. So nothing to do with software engineering, but it gave me a really strong background in services and being empathetic towards the customers that we were ringing because we were doing debt collection. And it was a very difficult job and very difficult calling people by phone, advising them they had certain debts that we needed to collect as part of the bank I was working with at the time. And it was just a part-time job, 20 hours per week, but it gave me, over the 2 years I was doing it, a very strong baseline and empathy towards stakeholders. And that's a really, really important part of any career, and particularly in data, because you're really trying to bring people to understand the value you bring to the company and to them with the data. There are many ways to grow in our career, and they're really summarized in the 3 E's: education, experience, and exposure. And it's an interesting moment to mention mentorship. I mentioned that the person who hired me first to APC, which became Schneider Electric, was incidentally one of the greatest mentors I've had in my data career. And it really brings the exposure component. So we mentioned education, experience, and exposure. And a mentor will bring you the level of exposure you need to various parts of the organization or to how things work to enable that part of personal development. And I've had a number of great mentors in my career. The interesting thing is all of them were incidental mentors. So I never asked somebody to be my mentor or coach. And maybe I was always a little bit shy. In fact, I would think, oh, I'll ask that person, particularly that lady in that position. And I was always hesitant. Oh, what will she think if I ask her? However, what I didn't realize at the time, aside from, I'm sure all those ladies I had looked at would have been very welcome to invite me to be coached and mentored by them. In fact, some of my greatest mentors were incidental. They were my managers who helped me to coach and grow. And really, they're not just managers, they're leaders. So somebody who brings you through your career, who pushes you to those limits, who knows how far they can push you so you can grow, is really a wonderful leader. And at the time, under various leaders in my career, I never really saw that I was being mentored or coached. I just thought I was doing my job and they were pushing me to do more. But with hindsight, I can pinpoint each key moment in my career and the person who was there at that point, who had encouraged me, who'd pushed me, who'd maybe given me that stretch assignment that at the time I might have went, oh, I feel so overloaded, but I was well able to do it and they knew that. And really what I would say is in your career, look for those incidental mentors. Maybe you're working for a leader who is quite inspirational and can help you through your journey. You may not need to look outside your organization for a mentor or coach. They may be right in front of you. And what's very interesting about incidental mentorship is it's not only people in your professional network who can be your mentor. I have wonderful sounding boards at home who also guide me and coach me and pop in with some advice at various times in my career. So don't just look for mentors or coaches who may be in your professional circuit. It's also important to have those people who may know you well and know your personality very well and who can guide you to the right direction in your career. So while we're talking about these 3 E's, education, exposure, experience, of course, experience is the greatest influence in your career trajectory, okay? They really say that experience, if you were to think of those 3 E's as 100%, the experience is 70%, the exposure to other areas of the business, to mentors, to coaches is 20%, and then the education is actually only 10%. However, you do need the education, of course. It's the critical foundational role. So even though it's 10% of that overall cycle, it's the critical foundation. And that same mentor who brought me to Schneider Electric back in 2004, I had got a first-class honours degree in computer systems, computer science. And he said to me after a few years, Una, that degree won't speak for you forever. I really recommend that you go and do something else and show that it wasn't just by chance you got your first class honours degree. Go and do it again with another qualification. And I love a challenge. And I guess people who have coached me, I even look back at my secondary school teachers and how they pushed me as well, knowing my style, which is if you give me a challenge, I'll rise to the challenge, even if I find it very difficult. Okay. And I went and I studied a master's in business administration. So that was really my gap back then. Very strong engineer, loved engineering, would code day and night for fun. However, understanding the business was very, very important. So I did my master's in business administration. It was a tough 2 years because you're working as well, of course. And I got a distinction in that. And the grade doesn't really matter. What mattered was the learning that I got and how I could apply that. And there was some super interesting courses in that. And I think in STEM, we really need to complement our learning, not just with the engineering part, but also with the business components. And for me, what really stood out to me, and as I mentioned at the start, I have a passion for people. I was very interested more in the organizational behavior components, how to manage performance of individuals. And I actually took a number of the HR specific extra modules you could choose because of that. Also, obviously, you're going into the accounting and the economics, which I've done a lot over the years in school as well, but they're very strong reminders of what to learn. And then there was a key part around project management. And it was really then that I realized that in any role, how critical portfolio is, portfolio management, project management, agile learning. And I'm an avid believer since then that every organization needs portfolio discipline to structure and deliver tangible outcomes. So I did a number of qualifications. I got my project management professional, PMP. I'm also a Scrum Master. And only 3 or 4 years ago, I qualified as Scrum of Scrum. And I had the pleasure to be trained by one of the signatories of the Agile Manifesto, in fact, in the US. So for me, I would say complement your skills in STEM with both business, education, and business experience on the ground, and also portfolio, because we need to deliver the tangible outcomes for the business. Normally in STEM, we're often a cost to the company. We're providing some services. However, it's very important that if we're delivering the tangible outcomes, we're no longer a cost to the company. We're obviously adding a lot of significant value to our corporations, to our companies in the world of STEM. Okay, so that's a summary overview of how I arrived at Schneider Electric. And as I said, it's a company very close to my heart. It's an extension of my family. I'm with the company 18 years. And I've shared with you my education, the exposure through the incidental mentors that I met, and the experience that I've had coming all the way from engineering through the various components of leadership. And I also mentioned the experience even of other roles. It's not always the STEM roles that give you the competencies to work in your role. So how that role in the call center that I had during university really gave me the methods and capabilities to work closely with stakeholders. So today, as I said, is incidentally my first day as the Group Chief Data Officer at Schneider Electric, a very proud moment for me. A company that is a growing technology company, and we have a very special mission. Our two key businesses are energy management and industrial automation, and we provide a path for decarbonization and a green future for our customers. And it's really interesting because if you look at the history of Schneider Electric, and we're founded in 1836, imagine that, 1836. So we're around a long time, and we have created ourselves, reinvented ourselves so many times over those years to be still in existence today. And we actually started our sustainability mission almost 15 years ago. So before people were really talking about sustainability, decarbonization, electrical efficiency, energy management, we were already on the road, on the path for decarbonization and a green future. So I'm just going to play a little video for you so you can understand a little bit more about who Schneider Electric is. Okay, so bear with me as I just change my screen here for you. Okay, and you should be...
The world is full of people telling you who to believe they are. Well, we thought we'd tell you who we're not. Let's start here. We're not in shipping. We don't make lifts. Seriously, no lifts. We do this. We're good at this. And we make all of these. And even though you'll find us here and here, we don't make energy. We make you save it. And you'll be saving the environment too. Are we an internet company? Well, we connect and power just about everything around you, helping machines talk to each other and to you, making your world more personal. We're seeking out the big questions and answering them honestly. Like, how can we make the most of our energy and resources? Or can we make access to energy and digital basic human rights? We're real people, employees, developers, partners, investors, and inventors, all passionate about doing what's right. we're open. Humans of all sorts from all over, learning from each other and about each other. We're not here to save the world. It'll go on with or without us. We're here to be your digital partner for sustainability and efficiency, to ensure life is on everywhere, for everyone, at every moment.
Okay, so that gives you a little introduction to Schneider. So let me now just reshare my presentation again to you. Okay. So when we think about Schneider Electric and the volume of data, in fact, we have around the company, this is just a small snapshot for you, understanding what kind of data volumes we have. We are a 34 billion revenue company with over 135,000 employees globally in over 100 countries. So we have a very wide footprint globally, and we have lots of data. And here you can see some of our key data points where we then need to manage that data with very clear governance and guidelines across the company and centralize the gathering of that data from all these systems to our enterprise data lake. And we work with a large scale of petabytes of data in our company. With all this data, we know trusted data is essential to our success. And to be trusted, we must assure that the data enabled for our decision makers, because that's why we're doing what we're doing. We're there as a data organization to give data to the decision makers in the company, to really make data a corporate asset for Schneider Electric. However, for our business partners to use that data must be trusted. We must assure that the data is consistent, reliable, and well managed. And we call this our data-backed execution of strategy. We know business decision makers will only accept data that is reliable. And in fact, they have many different ways of getting the data. You know, we're in organizations where people have managed many years, long before data teams ever existed. So we need to show what value we bring to the company as data organizations in bringing trusted data at scale. So how do we get there? For sure, it doesn't work with a fully centralized organization or a top-down strategy. For a number of years now, industry analysts, and I would say almost 10 years at this point, have recommended a hybrid centralized, decentralized approach to data management in a company with an operating model. With very strong, however, and this is key, central governance. So you need standards, you need rules, you need policies that are defined by one group, that's ordinarily the central group, who then disseminate those details on how to implement data management to the decentralized groups around the company. So it's a very strong community, a very strong network to achieve data management end to end. And all key contributors need to have these standards and policies to execute. And our data strategy focuses on how data is managed and operated in the company. So first of all, we know that everything begins with a business need to consume data. And our global decision makers need to consume data to make those decisions. Without the data in front of them, how can they make trusted decisions for the company? So we have very clear guidelines in the company on how data is consumed and from where, and policies associated with how that data is classified, stored, and accessed. And that's a very important point. And that's my role as Group Chief Data Officer, to assure those policies and standards exist across the company. So the very first step we do in data is data needs to be created. Does my organization as the Group Chief Data Officer create that data? No, that data belongs to our businesses, okay? Our businesses and our functions and our group operations. Data, as you know, if it's transactional data, that's created by people either in front or back offices using our transactional systems. Maybe they have an opportunity with a customer, okay? Maybe that opportunity becomes a sales order that ultimately becomes a sales invoice. And all that data is entered into transactional systems. There needs to be, however, at this creation of data, a clear definition in the company of where data can be created, okay? What is the source of authority of data. Where is the single place that a certain type of data should come from? And at Schneider Electric, we call that authoritative sources. So as individuals across the company create data, we say, okay, if you're creating this type of data, it must be created in this system. And that system is the authoritative source. There should not be 10 types of that system in the company. There should be one authoritative source for that particular data set. And that's a very strong standard in our company, okay? If you can agree on the authoritative source, then at that point, then you've no conflict in where the data came from. And it's a very important step. The next step then is standardizing data. So there's certain data sets in the company. We spoke about transactional data sets a moment ago. You know, there can also be other authoritative source data sets like our list of products that we sell, our offer, whether it's a product, a solution, or a service. We also would have data around our employees, of course, okay? That can be authoritative source data as well. And that's more into the master data space then, and our customers and our vendors. So that's all sets of data that we also need agreed. We don't want 10 different lists of our employees. We want one clear list from an authoritative source of our employees in the company. So then we partner that and complement that with what we call standardized data. And when we think of standardized data, there's certain data sets in the company that actually define how your company is structured. And that could be the organizational structure itself, the function names, the businesses, etc. Or it could be the legal entities, for example. And that is what we call our referentials in the company. Okay, so our referentials are a standard for the company that reflect how the company is structured in some way. And we assure that across the company, everyone is using the same set of referentials. So if I go to look at an analytics report that is by the organization structure, then another person in the organization is looking at their reporting by the same structure, or even something basic like geography, for example. So when you go into a company, different countries may align to different regions. We need to define as a company, what is our geography referential? What countries align to what regions or subregions or zones? So that again is a referential in our company. And we expect that everyone in the company is using that referential. Okay, so now we've mentioned two terms. When we talk about the creation of data, we thought about the authoritative sources, that place where data is created. And in those examples, we're talking about the transactional data that's created every day on our systems to run our businesses. And we also have the master data, which is those key sets of data that are the common denominators that we use, like customer, vendor, employee, our product solutions and services, okay? And then on the standardization of data, we spoke about the referentials, how the company is structured and how we need to assure that everyone's using that same reference of how the company is structured, and we call it the referentials. Now we have the data, it's in systems, okay? However, there's a very key point that we need to offer the company, and that's how to bring that data into one place, okay, for consumption. Now, as we ingest the data, and that's simply bringing the data, we ingest it like we ingest food, we ingest data, okay, into a central data lake in the company. We only take that data from authoritative sources. So if you have the data in another system and you say, oh no, this is where we're creating the data in the system, we say, is it an authoritative source? We check our reference list. If it's not an authoritative source, we don't dirty our data lake with data that's not coming from right sources, because then we'll have a conflict in the data. So we ingest the data, bringing that data, the authoritative source data for transactional or master data, our referentials, to this single location in the data lake where we ingest it. And then it's available for consumption, which is very important. So at this point, imagine the data has been in all the systems all over Schneider, and we have over 100 systems currently integrated into our enterprise data lake. We've assured that it's data coming from the sources of authority, that it's viewed by the standard structure, the reference of the company, and now it's ready for consumption. And this is how our stakeholders can trust our, what we call, data supply chain at Schneider Electric. Okay, so really, the data supply chain has very clear guidelines and frameworks built to match each step in the supply chain. And it really secures our data risk as well. And this is very important. So we have 4 golden rules at Schneider, 4 data golden rules. 2 of them actually I've mentioned, which is about the authoritative sources is one, the referentials is another. The third one we are just been talking about, in fact, our group data and analytics platforms where we consolidate and bring all the data together in a trusted way. But the very first golden rule we have, we call data golden rule 0. And it's all about managing data risk, okay? There's a number of policies you require in a company, for example, around data classification, data retention, how you migrate data in a company, okay? What kind of risks are associated with data, how to manage those risks. And we also need nowadays to consider cross-border data transfers, for example. So we have a lot of countries who are now looking at the sovereignty of their data. What data of theirs, where does it reside, in what country, and what data is being stored in their country also. So there's more and more regulation coming, if you're following the industry right now, around data sovereignty, or what data can cross borders. And we're very conscious of that, and we secure that through the data risks management that is part of our data supply chain. So when we talk about the journey of a data-backed execution of strategy, we did not achieve this overnight. And we do not do this, as I said, purely from a centralized team. Yes, you have the group chief data office, and we define all the governance around the standardization, the policies that we need to manage in data. And we also bring the frameworks for how to define that. And one of the key frameworks that we've introduced is our 32 data offices around the company. And these are in our functions, in our geography and BUs. And we call this the business data offices. And this data maturity journey that we have been on has taken us a number of years and a number of restructuring of our data strategy to assure that the strategy is really consumable across the company. And these data officers, representing, as I mentioned, functions, business units, or geographies, are dedicated within their area to increase the data maturity and data strategy governance in their respective business areas. So like we just mentioned, you know, maybe some of their business areas are putting data into systems that aren't authoritative, that aren't approved in the company. Maybe some of their teams are not considering cross-border transfer and they need to do that. So these are really our representatives all around the company, pushing and assuring the data strategy, the data risk management within their data offices. And they're assuring that their data offices then are using trusted data at scale consistently. Now, they partner around the company with what we call data domains. So we have 16 data domains. And in fact, while on the left you see offices reflects the structure of our organization, more or less. The data domains is an industry standard. We don't reflect the current functional structure of Schneider Electric in the data domains. Here you see domains that are quite common in the industry. This is very important. These are our data owners, okay? I, as Chief Group Data Officer, don't own the data in the systems, okay? There are people in the company who are called data domain owners, and they own the data. And they assure that they have well-defined, good quality, available data in their domain. They play a critical role because we are working all with the data. And the quality of the data, in fact, begins with how it's entered into the transactional systems. And when we talk about how it's entered into the transactional system, straight away, you need to say, well, how are people guided to do that? Now, they're guided to do that through business processes, okay? So business processes need to be standardized, they need to be socialized, they need to be operationalized, and our people on the ground need to understand what processes exist and what way they should enter data into the transactional systems, because this directly impacts our mission to use data as a corporate asset in Schneider Electric. If we're not accurately entering the data into the systems and thinking of data quality, in fact, we're directly impacting, for example, our performance reporting in the company. So our data domain owners are critical, drawing that link between the good quality data that's well defined in their domain and the business processes that enable that data within their domain. So it's really having this diverse and wide network that we have been able to be having great success really in our data strategy in the last number of years in the company. And as I said, it's not a central team that do this. This has to be done all across at the very grassroots of the company. Now, how do we guide them? So for the data offices and the data domains, we have a playbook for data maturity. So we've given them the framework, we've given them the keys for how to evaluate themselves when they first start with their data office and data domain. Okay, so what's their current state as they start? And then we're helping them to grow in their data maturity with the clear frameworks and guidelines that we've provided. And this is where we've really learned that not only do you need to provide the frameworks, you really do need as well very strong executive sponsorship so that our data officers and our data domains can secure their mandates in the company. And this is an amazing part that I want to share with you about Schneider Electric. So at Schneider Electric, we manage risk in our company through our trust charter. We anticipate risk and we protect for risk then with publishing standards and policies to guide our employees how to manage risk, both proactively and reactively. And to deliver trusted data at scale reaches far beyond technology capabilities, as you've heard. Even as you heard my story, my personal professional career journey, I started as a software engineer, but then I quickly realized as I grew in data that you needed to know more and do more than just engineering to be successful in data. And, defining your data strategy, supported by best-in-class technology, engineers. It's very difficult to get engineers in the market, but when we get great engineers, we really celebrate that fact. And it seems like the holy grail, and it is a critical part of the journey, yet more and more organizations are realizing that without data embedded in the very culture of their organization and recognized as a corporate asset, data lakes simply become a reflection of garbage in, garbage out, and data governance is key. And this is where we have integrated, in fact, in our trust charter, our code of conduct for the entire company, and you can find it on our Schneider website. It's externally published. And we have in our trust charter at Schneider Electric emphasis on how we should manage data in the company. And the charter itself, as you see on the left, and as I said, as you can find online on our website, is an executive summary of our policies and a guide how we work as a company. It helps us to anticipate risk. And then we have the supporting policies, as I said, and standards to manage that risk as well. And the criticality of data for us, really to see data as a corporate asset, is reflected in a number of key references in the trust charter. So imagine this trust charter, the code of conduct for the entire company, and it's talking about data. That is such a huge executive sponsorship in the company of our data strategy. And if I was to say how the industry has transformed so much in the past 20 years since I've been working in data, it's the recognition that data is a corporate asset for the company. And in Schneider, as I said, that recognition is obvious through how we've referenced data in our trust charter. And there's one sample I share here on the left is how we're bringing transparency. It's very important for us in trust in our company is to bring transparency to our decision making. And to bring transparency, we need to assure that the decisions we're making are coming from trusted data. And you see here over on the right hand side, if you look just under the number 6 on the page, it says trust with investors. So if you want to invest in a company, you'd like to know that they're making data-backed execution of strategy with trusted data. So we not only say data is a corporate asset, at Schneider Electric, we make data everyone's business by incorporating it in our company's code of conduct. So it's very exciting for me, having been with the company for 18 years, to really see the evolution of data in the company and how it's center stage in how we execute our strategy. So what are the key takeaways I will give you in this first session of FemHack International for the Saturday sessions? So first of all, we drive our business considering data risk management. So I mentioned data sovereignty, the fact that we need to assure the transfer of data across borders. We have data central in our trust standard, in our code of conduct, because we want to assure that we manage data risk and know how to respond both proactively and reactively to risk and bring trusted data at scale to the company. And that data risk management is across the entire ecosystem at Schneider Electric. The second key takeaway I would give you is the data maturity realization. So we saw that we have our data officers groups, our business data officers who are dotted line to me as chief data officer, and how we also have our data domains, and how that trio of data professionals work together to realize our data maturity in the company. And it wasn't something, as I mentioned, that we achieved overnight. It's something that has been built over time with really strong leadership in the company and excellently strong executive sponsorship. And finally, then, the data management standards. So to have such a great trio where you have the group chief data office, where you have the business data offices, and you have the data domains, all executing on a common mission to our business data consumers globally, you need to have clear and shared data management standards. And they must come from the central. Of course, they can be influenced by the people on the ground who are understanding how to operationalize data in their data offices. But you need to have those standards in what we call our data supply chain, from data creation, standardization, ingestion, and consumption. So I was really happy to share with you my story today. And also I'm excited because I play a key role in the digital hub and the development of our digital hub in Barcelona. And we've been delivering our digital hub, developing our digital hub since around 2014, 2015, in fact, when we really started to see such great talent coming from Barcelona. And I myself moved here to help develop the hub 6 years ago, in fact. Okay, so I'm based in Barcelona today, and we have a number of key positions that you'll see on the FemHack website. So take a look. There's various vacancies in our hub and in our global hub. So we position as a company in various hubs all over the world, Barcelona being one of them. And we have data roles, specifically in data science, engineering, and architecture. We have a number of UX opportunities as well. It's software and services. And we have key roles in application development and website architecture too. So take a look, browse on the FemHack website, and you'll get links to see what kind of roles are available to join such a wonderful company as Schneider Electric, as I said, that I've been with now for 18 years. So thank you very much, Noelia. Is there any questions from the audience today?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Una. It has been a really nice conference. It has been really fulfilling for sure. The public is really active and there are some questions. So first of all, it's not a question, it's a comment coming from someone from the public, but also from myself and from Nube. Really, I would congratulate you for your new position. So I am more than sure that you really deserve it and that you really work hard for it. So congratulations. Someone from the public also congratulates you for that. And then the first question that I think that it could be really, it could be really linked to your last comment. You have been working for so many years for Schneider Electric. Which is the thing that you like the most working for that company?
So there's many things, okay, but I would say the culture, in fact. So there's such wonderful people at Schneider, and it's amazing that in the past number of years we've delivered our code of conduct called trust, because that's what I would say has always been the baseline of Schneider, the trust between us as employees together to our stakeholders and to our customers. So for me, it's really the company culture. I would say something fun. No 2 years have ever been the same for me in Schneider. So people can sometimes look from the outside and go, wow, she's with the same company for so long. There's always been transformational change. When you're in a company the size of Schneider, as we mentioned, over 135,000 employees in over 100 countries, no 2 years are the same. So there's many exciting opportunities. While I've been in data, I've been in all sorts of roles with different leadership over time. As you saw, I have great mentorship as well over the years from people experienced in international business. So for me, it's really the people. I have to say it's the people. Our mission as a company too, it really, you saw that in my intro, I said, I want to make an impact. I want to make an impact. And when you see what we're doing as a company in electrification, so we, one of, if you search for Schneider, you'll see that we train electricians globally. So people who may never get an opportunity to train in a profession, we go and we train various thousands of electricians in countries where ordinarily education may be difficult to achieve. We go into countries and we help in those countries also bring light, a simple thing like light. Okay, so people don't have light, they don't have access to electricity. So we also get involved in a number of areas like that. We have a Schneider Foundation, okay, where we as employees also can contribute to transforming and having a direct impact to the world. I think what's interesting about Schneider is, you know, as I said, we're there since 1836. Fun fact, we used to be in steel, and there's part of steel that was supplied by Schneider in the Eiffel Tower, in fact. But we're not working in steel anymore, are we? We're working in electrification, and we can totally bring energy management solutions to the home, to businesses, to industry. And again, that really, you know, it's something everyone's talking about the last few years, but we've been there, we've been doing that for many years now. So really the passion, the mission of the company and the people themselves. You know, I often joke, I can always dial a friend. You know, if I need something, when you're in the company this long, there's always somebody at the other side of the phone to help me in whatever I need. And we all need help. That's a very important thing in a career. Never be afraid to ask for help. You know, there's always moments in our career where we may not know something, and it's okay not to know. That's how we learn. Or we may have a difficult moment and there's big challenges ahead, and maybe somebody else can help us in the organization.
Sure. This is key, I think, right? So whenever you are surrounded by people that supports you, and whenever you are able to create a community at work, this is really important, because you feel that you are supported, that you feel that you can do whatever you want, even if you want to change from one position to another inside the same company, as you said. So I think this message is key, right? To be surrounded and to feel supported by your coworkers, by people who is in a different hierarchy position in your organization, right? So this is a really key and important message, for sure. I have more questions coming from the public. Grace is asking, how do you envision the future of data platforms and shared service, particularly in the context of Schneider Electric?
So I imagine that AI is going to transform our world, okay? And I think everybody is looking very interestingly at generative AI right now. You know, as an engineer, we studied AI and machine learning 30 years ago in university, 25 years ago, and the essence is the same, but the capabilities now are different, right? The power of machines are different. So I feel that we'll have help. That's how I like to see it. We're going to have help in data modeling. We're going to have help in identifying patterns in data, more ways that we can focus as experts and engineers in bringing greater value to the business, with additional support through generative AI, where maybe we don't have to do the more repetitive tasks that we're doing today. And I think a number of companies, in fact, have tried over the past 10 years to really bring more automation to what we're doing in data modeling and data engineering. And they've been very brave to try. And logically, it should work, but it's quite difficult with the volumes of data we're working with. So now, really, there's a hope and a vision with generative AI that will transform how we work. As a company at Schneider Electric, it's all about using data, trusted data, as a corporate asset, and really getting to the point, and we're well on our way in that journey, where everybody knows the value of data to them in their decision making. And as I said, the mention now in the company of our data strategy in the code of conduct is a direct relation to our success so far in doing that. But we always have a long road to go. You know, people will still try to get some data in the quickest way they can, maybe through an Excel or whatever it may be, or maybe the systems aren't automated. Maybe there's not capabilities in certain areas of the industry to bring that data to the company. So we always have a strong mission there, particularly around sustainability. So we know sustainability data is critical, identifying the green footprint of our products, solutions and services. And that will be a big challenge for us in the coming years, is really reflecting that in our data sets. Okay.
Great. Thank you very much, Una. We have another question coming from the public as well. So, what inspired you to take a leadership role in such a file in such a technical file like data and analytics? What was your main inspiration to do so?
So in fact, even when I was in the call center before I ever came into engineering, in the late 1990s, I became a team leader. So I think maybe I have a natural leaning towards leadership. It's not something I choose. It's something that I love to do, in fact, okay, because I love to see people grow. So my passion for people, I'm very sensitive towards people. And it's something, of course, as a professional, you need to get that right balance between sensitivity and also growing people, you know. And for me, I think that's what really brings me first to leadership is people. Secondly, leadership for me is the impact that you bring. And I like to think of a term when I look back at various points in my career. What was the lasting legacy I gave at that point in my career? Sometimes it's the people. Okay, and I see some people that have worked on my teams over the years and they're doing amazing internally or externally in the company. And they've got that confidence that maybe they didn't have when they first joined us to go and follow their dreams and follow their mission in life, whether that's in data or other areas. And then also the impact of the company of data. So I've been watching and being part of that journey of data for years in the company. And it's like from little acorns, great oaks grow. And it's taken us time. But now to sit in a room and hear our executives so passionately speak about data, it makes me want to continue that legacy in the company. And I follow a great chief data officer who has moved to another very challenging role in the company from today. And she has been actually a great mentor to me in the last number of years on how she has grown the data strategy and inspired me to want to follow in her footsteps too in this role. So I think this incidental mentorship I mentioned is very important. Sometimes you fall into leadership roles early in your career. You need to make a decision if you want to be in leadership or you want to stay purely in the engineering side, for example, because there is a lot of passion and power in the engineering side too. And that's something very important we're doing in Schneider now. We assure that we have career paths that are not simply people leadership, strategic leadership career paths. We also have career paths that are pure tech. And that's very, very important, where you continue to go through individual contributor roles where you're contributing to the technical evolution of the company. And I would say we're all doing that. Okay, I still do that. I'm an engineer. However, you can go into a purely focused role where we have different levels which match our people leadership levels. Okay, and you can get into senior individual contributor roles purely as a technology architect, for example. Okay, so two options. I think it's very important that people do consider where they land. It can happen when you're a good organizer, when you're able to structure things, you're automatically moved into some leadership role. Assure that you own that decision too, that it's not just the company decision. For me, it's my decision. I love doing it. But I often see some engineers going into leadership roles, and maybe for them, it could have worked, you know, much more enjoyable for them in their own career to actually stay in a senior technical career path.
Great, great. Thank you very much. Una, another question coming from the public. I think it was related to your last answer, right? Do you think leadership is innate? It's something that you're born with?
I think it can be learned. I think empathy for people is innate. And I think that to be a great leader, you need to have a passion for people. And I do believe that a certain part of a passion for people is probably innate. I think it can be hard to learn that if it's not naturally there. However, most people do have a passion for people, okay? Leadership, if you have good leaders around you, and you know, we differentiate between leadership and management all the time, right? So manager will be watching your task list and following your task list. And you know, there's moments in your life where you need managers. So when I came out of university, at first I needed management, okay? I was coming from the university in the labs, you know, all day to a professional environment. You know, you got to learn how to present yourself, both physically and professionally, in that kind of environment. And at that point, I needed some management. And then as your professional grows, you need leadership. Okay, you need really people who are inspiring you really in your profession. Both are very important, I would say. If it wasn't for the management I received in my first professional role, I may not be in front of you today as the group chief data officer. So is it innate? I think partially, but I do think you can learn a lot from the people who are leading you and follow their footsteps. Yeah.
Sure, as you said, I think that you always have things to learn from other people, from your mentors, and this is really important. And I do believe also on what you say, right? That partially it could be innate, but then you can train a lot of aspects, right? As a professional, hard skills, soft skills, even. So I do agree with you. Another question: do you ever have faced a challenge being a female in a male-dominated field?
It's a very interesting question. I would say no. I have never been made to feel that I was a female. I have never myself walked into a room and felt that I was a female. Again, I do think part of that is internal. Okay. I think we own part of that ourselves, and it can be difficult, and it can depend on the culture, your cultural background, and it can depend, I guess, on your experiences in life. So for me, I have never felt like I was in particular a female. I know, and I acknowledge that I'm a female in a male-dominated industry. I acknowledge that most of my peers and colleagues and teams have been male over the years. However, in Schneider, we have a very strong focus on having a 50-50 balance in our leadership and in our teams between males and females. We have a very strong diversity strategy, which is not just about the male and female dynamic. We have many key components to it that's very important for us as a company, and we've worked hard to get that dynamic. We don't differentiate whether you're male or female when we hire, because you've got to get the best person for the job, and that's what I believe in myself as a female. I don't want to be given additional let's say points in an interview just because I'm female. I want to be treated equally like all of us do, and at Schneider we do that. Our mission, however, is to get to that 50-50 balance on what we do. So I've never felt it. However, I would say I do understand that it depends on the culture, maybe what you've experienced over years, and I would say that obviously I haven't been exposed in my mind to any discrimination in that way. However, I do respect the fact that maybe some people have been, and we need to understand that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that what you said is really key and really important for all the public to understand why Schneider Electric is one of the sponsors, the main sponsor indeed, of the International FemHack, right? Just for the answer that you gave, right? You are really committed into inclusion, you are really committed to diversity, but the most important thing is that you are really focusing on people talent. It doesn't matter the background, it doesn't matter whether you are a male or female, it really matters your value, what you can provide to the company, and this is for that reason that we are really pleased to have you as our main sponsors on this event of Nube, right? So, Una, that has been everything from public's questions. I would say that it has been really a pleasure to have you here today. As you know, and as everybody knows, the FemHack is here to provide with role models, female role models in the tech industry, and I really think that you are one of them, of that role models. Once again, congratulations for your new position. We really think that you deserve it. Thank you very much for being here, and for the public, you know that Schneider Electric is our main sponsor, so they will be present as well during the hackathon event in the Metaverse World, so do not hesitate to go there to speak with them and to exchange with them wherever thought you have. So Una, thank you very much, and see you soon, I hope.
Okay, thank you so much, Noelia. It's always a pleasure to represent Schneider and that we're sponsoring such a critical event. And we just leave you with the fact that you can connect with mentors from all over the world through Schneider Electric, and there is a QR code there on the screen right now if you'd like to follow that up. So unleash your potential, as we say, and very excited to be here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye, Una.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so for the public, this is the end of the first conference of today. As you know, today we have many conferences, so we have 5 conferences left. Next one we will be with the next speakers in about 20 minutes. So this is the time to take a break and to come back in 20 minutes more or less to listen our next speaker. So we will be back in a few minutes. Thank you for being there.
When was the last time you broke the rules? When was the last time you fought for what you wanted? As girls, we've always been told what to do, how to behave, how to live. We've internalized that our lives are not our own. We've accepted a fate that was given to us by birth, ignoring our own feelings and beliefs. History has repeatedly blurred women's achievements. When did we forget that it was one of us who took humanity to the moon? This lack of feminine role models filters down into every little girl's mind. You are not worth it. You are not enough. But what if we are? What if we always have been? What if we no longer want to fit in? Now is the time to swim upstream. It is time to step up as women and to set up our future to gain power over our lives. Power will not be given to you. You must take it. Break the algorithm and join the International FemHack.